I am very glad to speak to you. However, our time is over, and we have spent all our champagne already. So, but it was very interesting, very interesting. So it's a great pleasure for me as past president of the AEA-EAL to introduce this part of the conference to celebrate 35 years of existence of our association. I want first of all to thank the Council of Europe to give us the opportunity to undertake this little celebration into such a significant and important event. And it is particularly important to celebrate it at this Teaming of Lawyers conference because the AEA-EAL has been facilitating this relationship, this kind of relationship between lawyers from different countries and systems since its foundation. Several past presidents will tell how this was made possible and how proud we are of this task. The AEA-EAL went always further to look for new colleagues, new law systems, and new challenges. This is for sure because the most relevant members came from the Young Lawyers Association's AEA, like Maria Slazak already told you, when they were already too old to stay in AEA, but young enough to take up activities in Eastern European countries, which was a great challenge at that time. First forays were a novelty then, but today we continue to insist on this work by seeking our colleagues from much further afield. Some of the past presidents have passed away and are no longer with us. Mario Scamoni, Mark Wilmart, and very recently, Jean-Pierre Van Kutsen. This celebration is an homage to them as well. The first speaker is Anthony Slingsby, who has recorded his speech, and because he could not be present today. This recorded conference will last 8 minutes, seven minutes, I think. And afterwards, the subsequent past presidents will intervene for 3 minutes in order of seniority, sharing their experience and highlighting the future challenges that the AEA-EAL is facing. So please, Rafael, go on with the speech of Anthony Slingsby. Thank you. We don't hear it. Oh, yes.
We cannot hear.
We cannot hear.
If I were an Olympic runner, I could cover nearly 2 miles in that time. As it is, I invite you to join with me in a stroll back in time to the inception of the AEA in a smoke-filled room in Brussels. There you will find the movers and shakers of AEA, who realized that they too needed a new vocation, having passed the dividing line of 35 years. We will leave aside the personalities, many of whom, alas, are dead, and concentrate on what they believed the new organization should stand for, and indeed what it should stand for today. They were all members of AEA Commission des Droits de la Défense, and they believed in their hearts and by their actions in the rule of law. If lawyers had a Hippocratic oath to take, it should be to swear to uphold the rule of law. It's a grand sentiment, easier said than done. One must remember the AEA was born into a divided Europe. The West, that was free, however we choose to define it, and the communist bloc. Churchill described the frontier as the Iron Curtain. I crossed it a number of times on business when it existed, and it was a chilling and sobering experience. It was as if the color and vitality of our Western lives had been leached out. 2 different rules of law operated on either side of the frontier. I was glad and relieved to get home. Even after all these years, I can feel in my body the sense of relief I then felt. We move on to the early spring of 1991. And it was proposed that the AEA sent a delegation of like-minded lawyers to Prague, which had just passed through what was termed as the Velvet Revolution. Havel, a distinguished intellectual and writer, had been elected president. Early spring was an appropriate time for such a visit. Then it is that nature, in a couple of weeks, defies and overturns all the iron dictates of winter. The citizens of Prague were waking up to a new world. Through my work with the notaries organization, UNIL, I knew of the initiatives of training they were launching to carry the West concept of the rule of law to former communist countries. We should do the same for the AEA, I thought. A new generation of lawyers were to be instructed how to practice law and what law to practice. A noble and worthwhile mission. At one lunch that had been organized to cement such fledgling ties, I was introduced to a fine old lawyer who, before the war and the occupation, had been an eminent company law insolvency practitioner. He could not bring himself to support the Communist Party, and his punishment was that education had been denied to his son. The father saw hope in a new normal which was arriving with the spring sunshine, but he still could not bring his son into the practice. Finishing the meal, we retired into a back room. Speaking in French, we discussed how the AEA could help his son get up to speed. I will never forget that interview, and the joy and the happiness it gave me to feel we were doing something practical and positive. Many later presidents, in different ways and different locations, have been able to do likewise. That is why we are all very proud of the AEA. The universal symbol of the law is a pair of scales. They constantly need to be lubricated with the fine oil of knowledge and balanced with the obligations of individual freedom. The law must be viewed as a protection for the individual, not as an instrument of coercion exercised by a totalitarian government. Johannes Tauler, who was a 14th century Dominican mystic, spoke of how it is in the mysterious darkness that goodness, without limit, hides. Our few days in Prague taught us to lighten that darkness and brought all those who traveled there great happiness. The AEA made its contribution, we made ours. So what should our goals be 35 years on? Quite simply, the same. Paradoxically, I think the forces acting against the rule of law are now stronger than in the euphoria of the 90s. The Council of Europe made its first report on the rule of law in 2011. As a vademecum, the European Commission publishes an annual report in July of each year, covering 4 main areas within the 27 country chapters: the justice system, the anti-corruption framework, media pluralism, and other institutional issues related to checks and balances. But there is work to be done redressing the commercial balance of monopolies, achieving fairness for asylum seekers, and protecting the rights to personal privacy. These issues are key issues and ones to be fought over and resolved in the next 10 years. Plenty of scope then for the pro bono lawyer of the future, who I hope will also be a member of the AEA. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for this recording of Anthony Slingsby. I give the floor very quick very fast to the past president, Gian-Andrea Chiavegatti from Verona for 3 minutes. Please, Gian-Andrea, the floor is yours.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm happy to be here. I have some comment about the speech of Anthony. Anthony introduced the constitution of the European Association of Lawyers. But the mission of our association is the same today. Nowadays, the technological progress, which is in the hands of few private individuals or few states, and the relevant dynamics of international relationships, undermine what is left of the rule of law, pushing towards the conversion of the citizens into consumers, also more conditioned and limited its freedom. The imposition of technology in every phase of the life, resulting in the destruction of the private sphere, the normative hypertrophy, which results in a superpower of bureaucracy, also European, unlikely, the disparities arising even due to the globalization, the loss of a sense of community, which is substituted by the feeling of belonging to a distinct international global mass of consumers, tell us that the rule of law is in danger, and that associations like ours must commit to protecting it. In other words, the action undertaken 35 years ago is still relevant and essential for our freedom. Thank you.
Thank you, Gian-Andrea. Thank you, Gian-Andrea. You have been in advance. Thank you very much. It is very good because I will now give the floor to Konrad Meingast from Vienna. He was also past president, Konrad Meingast, and one of the souls of this association. Konrad, please, the floor is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues and friends, if you had come to Brussels 5 days and 35 years earlier, and physically, instead of just on the screen, you might have been one of the founding members of the European Association of Lawyers. Now it's too late to become a founding member, but it's not too late to become a member. And it's perhaps the right time to hear very briefly about the opening of our association to the East. After the fall of the Iron Curtain and this meeting in Prague, we organized in '92 meeting together with the Hungarian Bar Association and for the lawyers in Hungary and the neighboring countries. And in 1995, together with the Slovenian Bar Association, we had a large meeting in Podrož. The president of the Slovene lawyers wrote to me afterwards that there had been no comparable international event in the 100 years of the existence of the Chamber of Lawyers in Slovenia. Since the early 19th, we have been in intensive contact with our Polish colleagues. Jean-Pierre Van Kutsem and I have been several times to Warsaw and to meet the deans of the orders, of both orders, and to have the contacts, and also our following president, Van Nispen, Clemens. And we had intensive contact with the Polish colleagues and organized important meetings with them in Warsaw and in Krakow at several occasions. And in 1997, the National Council of the Legal Councils in Poland joined the European Association of Lawyers as a collective member. We are very happy about the long-lasting, fruitful cooperation and our great Polish President, Maria. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Konrad. We are really very disciplined in the time that we have last. And this is very good because I will give the floor to Monique Stengel, the close past president, Monique Stengel, which will have perhaps one or 2 minutes more, because she has also the task to give some words in homage of Jean-Pierre Van Kootzen, who died for 2 months and who was really, really one of the most important souls of our association. And Monique Stengel is the best person to do so, because before she was past president, he was Secretary General for a long wide time. Even if she is so young, as you can see, she was Secretary General for a long time. So the history of the AEA is almost on his hands. So I give the floor to Monique Stengel, please. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Juan. Merci. I am actually the immediate past president just before Maria of the AEA. Actually, I'm really the youngest, even if I've, as you understood, I'm not that young because I've been so long in the association. So the association was at the beginning the Association Européenne d'Avocats, because it was a time when French was still quite used in our association. And that's why also as a French citizen, I think that for our birthday, we have to drink a lot of champagne. And we are very happy and very proud to celebrate our 35th anniversary. I had the honor to organize the 30th anniversary in Paris. It was a very great time when we could have a lot of past presidents and new members of the association. And I really hope that we will have the possibility, I hope next week next year to meet and to celebrate really together, and to have the possibility to meet under friends, because that's really one of the aspects of our association. Of course, we are an association of lawyers, but I think we are really a group of friends, and that's very important. It was not so evident at the beginning, because as you can imagine, at the beginning it was a thing to give the possibility at a time when it was not so often so easy to create a network between lawyers all over Europe, over the territory of the Council of Europe. And as you have heard, we go now even far away over the borders of Europe, and because as you have heard and seen at our conference today, and we are of course very happy to have such a success, and very far away from Europe, and it is really a very good development of our association. And as you have also heard, and it is really important, at the beginning it was to develop the knowledge about European law, to develop the networking, and to defend the rule of law. And I would say, fortunately or not fortunately, after 35 years, it's always the same topics which are very actual, and we still have to be very active to maintain and reinforce the cooperation between the lawyers within Europe and over Europe, to have a common knowledge, a common activity, common practice, to protect the rule of law and to protect our professions, because there are many countries where our profession is in danger, and to know each other and to exchange as we did today is very important. And that's probably why the association is still very active and developing after 35 anniversary years, and it is really very important. So as Juan said, I have been, before I was president, I have been general secretary quite a long time, since 1990. And it was really thanks to Jean-Pierre Van Cutsem, who asked me to become general secretary. And it was really a very great honor and pleasure to work with him. Jean-Pierre Van Cutsem was one of the founder of the association from the very beginning, and very, very active. And we must say till the end of his life, because we were preparing the 35th anniversary as a celebration and the history of our association. And till the last day, he was very active, and it is really the representative of our association. And of course, we are very sad that he is not with us to celebrate this anniversary. But I think he is still very present with us because of his work, because of his energy, because of his humor. And we still think a lot of him. We are very thankful, and we are still using and practicing what was his work, what were his ideas, where we want to progress and to continue what he wanted to do with the AEA. And I think he was really interesting in the relation with the commissions, with the European institution like Council of Europe, and also, of course, with countries. Every country is also outside the European Union at that time. And we are all eager in the board of the association to continue his work, and he will still be with us all the time. Thank you.